This is not funny. Not funny for anyone. I was watching a video that made me feel like I was in a nursing home. It was just a garden scene, and it's like, wow. I mean, yeah, it is way past time. It is way past time for what I want to describe as payback. And I'm not sure that there is really, what is payback? I mean, there's a question. It could probably take different kinds of forms. Is there gentle payback? I mean, harm can't be undone. And when you've been used, I mean, it's like a, wow. An egg and a sperm, and wow, all right. And yeah, so pregnancy carried to term, and yeah, there I was, and yeah, this many years later, it's like, well, yeah, born to be used. Well, that might be true, but I am real fucking over it, real over it, and no one should be born to use, and plenty of people are, and there's mystery in that too. But I will say I feel like I'm grappling with a mystery. I think about there is something that I don't know, and I think about where my parents lived when I was born, and looking at that now, and I think, all right, well, probably all that happened was just, you know, I mean, where were they in the midst of that? Right here, right here. I mean, where were they? And so how do you find, when you're waiting for answers and truths to reveal themselves, how careful do you have to be, to not disturb too much, to not, I could say make enemies. I really am not an enemy person, but people have treated me so badly. And I guess there must be persons that think of me as an enemy, and that could just be the sort of broad brush kind of thing, assumptions, prejudice, and things like that. And I could talk about Yankee Doodle. I mean, you know, um, that might fit a little bit, Yeah, well, Yankee Doodle, coming to town with his carpet bag and his bag of pills, and, keeping on with the genocide. And wow, I mean, I'm not going to ask who needs it. I'm just going to say, what a sin. And really, what a crime against humanity, of course. And yes, there's also been actual crime. All right. Well, like many things, I'm not supposed to know, even though I was told. And what is that when you're not supposed to know? So someone tells you something, and then, it's shh, you're not supposed to know. You can't talk about it. All right. I'm not going to ask where that was learned. Was that learned? Or what is that? But yeah, so grappling with the mystery, thinking, yeah, I mean, there could be something in that to pack a serious wallop, thinking about persons that have used me, abused me, and I start to get this thing. I mean, does that mean I'm just supposed to be all happy that I'm alive and that I haven't been killed? I mean, thank you for not killing me. Thank you for not killing me. Well, I mean, you kind of did, so, people die. When wrong is being done, people die. When people don't die, people nonetheless are harmed. But yeah, it can be that bad. And again, you know, looking at and thinking about where my parents lived when I was born, and thinking about my grandfather, and I know he was ethical. He also grew up in dire poverty. All right. Thinking about people who grew up in dire poverty, and I don't know what to say. People working their way out of poverty. I could have faith. I could have faith. It might be a shared faith. Or shared faith. I could have faith that the truth is going to reveal itself. I could have faith that that truth is going to pack a real serious wallop. That it might set some obstacles for persons that have done some harm to me and to other people other than me. I could do that, and that might not be a bad idea. But yeah, I just thought I'd talk about that when you're grappling with a mystery. I just find it hard to believe. I mean, sex is sex. A person can become pregnant, and that doesn't mean that was love. And then if pregnancy is carried to term, then there's a baby. And if that baby wasn't really loved, made, I mean, made. What's that? I mean, that's a disturbing, thing to think about. But why do people have children? Some people really love each other and it just kind of happens. I don't know. And some people don't have a lot of love in their heart, maybe. They're trying to find it. And I think about what that can really do, when a child, is there to be used. I mean, I have no words. But yeah, so well, grappling with a mystery, thinking about some things and trying not to think too much, like my first husband said I did. And yeah, it's just another fucking lonely Friday night, but I have my dog. And yeah, I know a lot of people are struggling with loneliness. And why is that? I mean, well, sometimes because there are persons that make it that way. Here's this, no, you can't have it. Here's this, no, you can't have it. Here's this, no, you can't have it. Things like that. And then, yeah, well, I wonder if sometimes when people do things, if, what would have unfolded more gradually, where there wouldn't, might have been like a real, an effect where you're like, whoa, you know, tragic comes to mind. I just think, I wonder if when people are in too much of a hurry, want too much, and things like that, and want, I mean, just are addicted to, you know, I don't know, I need this and I need it now, I want this and I want it now, I matter and you don't, and things, that's just sort of like, you know, imagine there's something that's been kind of there, that's kind of been laid out for people for some stability, and then someone kind of pulls it, and and it kind of crumbles, things kind of smash together. And I've talked about that before, though. I was saying on a string and somebody goes too fast up the string or down the string, and then it's just this, and then you have this, and like, whoa, what is it? I wonder if sometimes things can come out more slowly, and not with a real serious way. Maybe not. Maybe there are things where it's just always going to be like that. But I do think when I mean, anyhow, well, I hope if anyone else out there has a mystery that you're grappling with, that you feel calm about it, that there's no stress, that there's humor in it, that you can find humor, and and that it makes your life better, that it does not make your life worse. And who doesn't need their life to be a little bit better? I mean, anyway, that's just a few words for this Friday fucking, night here at the end of June. And what do we have next Saturday? The, fireworks. How about that?